Joining me now is Leo Holman and David Pine. David has to join us by phone tonight. The big story, of course, today going everywhere is SignalGate, and it's getting stranger and stranger as we find out more, at least if we believe the reports put out there about National Security Advisor Mike Waltz's assistant, his deputy, Mr. Wong, and his family ties. Very troubling. Paul Sperry, who wrote the book with my friend Dave Gobbets on Islam, Muslim Mafia. Paul Sperry is talking about this quite a bit today. So is someone I've interviewed many times, Laura Loomer. Let's catch up on what these guys think, because David Pine and Leo Holman were not shy in saying from the beginning they were not in favor of Mike Waltz, this former congressman / neocon, getting on the National Security Council. Gentlemen, welcome to the broadcast again tonight.
Hey, Brad, great to be with you.
Great to have you guys with us. Okay, Paul Sperry is putting out tonight that just spoke with a full bird Army colonel who thrice voted for Trump. Quote, "I've spent most of my career handling classified information, so I'm not an apologist." That is clearly classified. Time over target is exposure time. Double standard with Hillary, but not this, but with Hillary, but this is a firing offense, end quote. David, was this classified information that was released or not?
I believe it likely was classified information. I mean, I've been listening to the Senate hearings yesterday and the House Intel hearings today, in which the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, and Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, have both said that this was not classified information. I think there's a legitimate, argument that it might not be, but typically this would be classified information under any other circumstances. And I absolutely agree with the full bird colonel that Paul Sperry has quoted, that this should be a firing offense because Mike Waltz says, he claims he took ownership of it, and he took full responsibility, but he's clearly lied about not knowing Goldberg, who is, works for a Kamala Harris oligarch, and, is very hateful towards Donald Trump. And, Waltz he's kind of a deep state type of guy. That's why I think Leo and I were taking the lead in opposing him to the hilt from the start.
Okay, so he's claiming he doesn't know this guy. Waltz is claiming, I don't know Goldberg, but yet there has now been released today on social media a picture of Waltz standing next to Goldberg at an event. What's your take on all this, Leo?
Yeah, I am with David on this one. I think he's lying. I think if we get an honest investigation from Elon Musk, which is debatable whether or not we will, I think we'll find out good and well that Mr. Waltz had a relationship with Mr. Goldberg. And, I agree also that this is something that is so egregious. I mean, when you get right down to it, when we're trying to, anyone can debate whether or not this is classified or not classified. But in the end game scenario, classified is what the president says is classified. So if Trump chooses to go to bat and defend Waltz to the hilt, he will claim that this was not classified information. But there you have it from a colonel, what traditionally is classified information, time over target. And that involved this particular chat session. They were talking about who and where was being bombed and when it was going to happen. So typically this would be considered classified, but you could make the argument, as David said, that it's not. And the best argument for that is the president says it's not.
All right, let's go to Mr. Waltz, Mike Waltz, who is he? Then let's go to Mr. Wong, I guess his deputy, and Mr. Wong's family, wife, father-in-law, etc., what's being at least reported out there. First of all, Paul Sperry is putting out new FEC records, Federal Election Commission records, FEC, for ex-Cheney aide. So Mike Waltz used to be a aide for Cheney. Now Trump's national security advisor, who, quote, accidentally, end quote, leaked to The Atlantic, shows he's contributed $8,150 to Never Trumpers and $0 to Trump. He put out $5,000 to Mitt Romney, John McCain, $450, Jeb Bush, $2,700, Donald Trump, $0. What do we know about Mike Waltz? I'll start with you, David, and then Leo. Why were you opposed to Mike Waltz? What did you know about him as a neocon?
So Mike Waltz and Marco Rubio were part of the anti-Russia chorus that was, marching in lockstep with the Biden regime in saying that the U.S. had to send massive arms shipments to Ukraine, that this was a fight for democracy against autocracy. I mean, all of that was complete nonsense. We knew from the start that it was Biden that provoked Russia to invade Ukraine. It would have never happened under Donald Trump because, the only thing that Putin asked for to guarantee he wouldn't invade was a written guarantee that Ukraine would never join NATO. But so Waltz, they've been wanting to fight the war to the hilt. They've criticized Biden for not giving enough, not unilaterally disarming the U.S. military enough to give all our advanced weapons systems to Ukraine in a senseless and pointless and unnecessary war, an unwinnable war against the Russian Federation, which is the mightiest nuclear superpower on the planet. And so they are not natural allies and never have been with President Trump on this issue. And they've of course, been willing to, tweak their positions, but I don't think they've really fully abandoned their position. I think that when it comes right down to it, and Trump is saying, what should we do? Russia's saying they won't end the war unless we accept 90% of their terms. I think they'll say, tell them to pound sand. And then the war continues and the killing continues, and then Russia stays allied to China. And President Trump's signature foreign policy initiative of splitting the Russia-China alliance is defeated.
Leo, what were your objections to Waltz?
Well, he voted, as David said, in lockstep with the deep state. There was not a single Ukraine aid package that Mike Waltz was not eager to approve and vote for. And so that was all I needed to know that he was the wrong guy for President Trump if President Trump was serious about backing away from the corrupt state of Ukraine and its corrupt dictator Zelensky. Over $300 billion of American taxpayer dollars has been wasted on that phony, fraudulent democracy that they call a democracy and is really a dictatorship. Mike Waltz has been in favor of everything that has gone on there. He was in Congress when all of this was approved, including the biolabs and everything. He would have been aware of all of it, and he never once voted against any of it, nor did he make any public pronouncements about it. He was against it. He was always in favor of backing Ukraine as a proxy for NATO to poke Russia in the eye. And in many ways, he's a stooge of the UK, which we know the UK is at the heart of this anti-Russia sentiment, this anti-Russia obsession, if you will. Starmer in the UK, along with Macron in France, are really leading the charge here, trying to deal a strategic blow to Russia. This is in many ways, Brandon, a replay of the 1850s when we had the UK, Britain, and France fighting on the side of the Muslim Ottoman Empire against Russia. Why? Because they wanted to prevent Russia from having a warm water port on the Crimean Peninsula, and they were willing to go to war, even side with the Muslims, in order to stop that from happening. They are still whining and complaining about Russia's presence in the Crimea. They want to kick Russia out, and they want to steal its resources. That's what this war is all about. And that's why they're using Ukraine as their proxy.
Let's go to another post by Paul Sperry. Though Waltz insists, quote, I wasn't talking to Goldberg, end quote, a U.S. intel official told me Waltz was a source for Goldberg while on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Quote, there's no need for an investigation to figure out how he was added to the chat. Goldberg was in his address book because he's been talking to him, end quote. What do you make of this, David?
I think that's absolutely true. That's in line with everything that I've been assuming is that Mike Waltz, while serving on the House Intelligence Committee, was a leaker and kind of collaborated with the neoliberals at the Atlantic and other major news journals because they were singing from the same tune with regards to Biden's war in Ukraine, its proxy war against Russia, and obviously that was in opposition to all the America First conservatives from President Trump on down in Congress. And, I just really think that, not only is it egregious that he may have shared classified military operations or war plans with this individual that he's linked to, but that he's lied about it. I mean, he's been completely disgraceful and dishonorable. It'd be one thing if he had fessed up to it and said, yeah, that's the guy I had contact with years ago. I meant to clean my phone, and I accidentally pressed the wrong guy, and it's no classified information, but he has not been honest. He's been dishonest from the start.
Now let's go to another Paul Sperry quote on X. Kamala Harris, Kamala's best friend forever, or BFF, and billionaire Democrat backer Lauren Powell Jobs, who pumped millions into her 2024 campaign, owns The Atlantic magazine and employs Jeffrey Goldberg. So if Goldberg is friends with Waltz and Goldberg is in the control and employment of Lauren Powell Jobs, who's BFF with Kamala Harris, I'm starting to wonder if this is a setup, Leo.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly looks bad for Mike Waltz. I certainly hope that President Trump will come to his senses. And as this story continues to unfold, at first it did seem like maybe there was, less to the story than was being made of by The Atlantic. But when you look at the screenshots and all that was revealed on that chat session, I mean, and now the evidence, the hard evidence that Waltz is not being on the up and up. He's not being honest about his relationship with Goldberg and that magazine, The Atlantic. I think he needs to go. I really do. I mean, and David's point about the leaker, him playing the role of the leaker, is very prescient. In many ways, Mike Waltz is the reincarnation of Mike Pence. Mike Pence was, as you recall, a deep state plant in the first Trump administration. He is suspected and been accused of leaking many of the stories that got the Trump administration embroiled in, horrific scandals that played out in the media there was nothing really to them, but they sounded horrible in the mainstream media the way they were spun. That could not have been done were it not from the information provided by Mike Pence. Wow. And in many ways, Waltz is the reincarnation. Waltz is the Pence of Trump 2.0.
And let's just, for people, that last name Jobs, Lauren Powell Jobs, that is Steve Jobs' widow. And when you go and look her up online, you find out, obviously, she's a major donor to the Democrat Party, but she apparently also works with a group known as, where is it? She's a widow of Steve Jobs, manages the Steve Jobs Trust, but she has another organization I saw in her bio that she works with, a really, really progressive group. So I'm going to find it here. I know she works with a really progressive group that basically is going to be opposed to everything Donald Trump is doing. Let's see what it is. Does anyone know the group she's got? She's got some kind of, I'm going to find it. You guys talk. I'll find what group she's a part of, because I know I just saw it in my research here. But yeah, I mean, this is Steve Jobs' widow, David.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's a very incestuous group. The neolibs, the neocons, the John McCains, the Mike Pences, the George Bushes of the world. they all collude together, and they've colluded for a uniparty, deep state foreign policy that's put America last, and it's got us in endless forever wars that put us on the very edge of nuclear war with the Russian Federation, as reported by Biden's own Undersecretary of Defense, Colin Kahl, who said we can't. The CIA was assessing that we were at a 50% risk of Russian nuclear escalation in Ukraine in September of 2022. And what did Biden do about it? He doubled down, and so did every other neocon, many of which had every reason to know that we were on the edge of nuclear war, including Mike Waltz.
All right, so I found it. It's the Emerson Collective. The Emerson Collective, which funds all kinds of far-left, progressive leftist things. So this is who Goldberg works for, who is now we're finding pictures of Mike Waltz with him, Goldberg, back in 2021, I believe it was, who he says he doesn't know, has never met. Now, let's move on to Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer has been putting stuff all over X today. I cannot validate what she's putting out yet. I haven't had the chance. It's breaking so fast. You guys can tell me if you've had a chance to validate any of this. Laura Loomer is saying that the Deputy National Security Advisor, Alex Wong's father, so this would be the National Deputy Advisor to Mike Waltz, that his deputy, Alex Wong's father-in-law, had direct ties to the CCP. Can anyone verify this? Does anyone know? She claims she has the receipts. She claims that in her text, in her tweet here, she has the screenshots validating a lot of this. Can anyone else tell me if they've had a chance to look into any of this?
No, Brandon, I've not had a chance to look at Laura's reporting yet on this. But I guess the message to the American people is it seems like strange bedfellows, Mike Waltz and the Atlantic and the Goldberg and his whole crowd, just like Mike Pence, his favorite source to leak information to is the New York Times. New York Times loves Mike Pence. Mike Pence plays the good little conservative in public, but then in the background, he's backstabbing President Trump, leaking information that would embarrass him to the New York Times. These neoliberals and neocons are strange bedfellows on the surface, but if you look beyond the surface, they make perfect partners because they're able to get both sides of the American aisle, the right and the left, on board when it comes to foreign policy. They may disagree vehemently on some issues of domestic policy, but they are right in line with each other on foreign policy when it comes to getting us involved in these forever wars and fleecing the American taxpayer to pay for all of these, what they call soft power, through USAID, where we're funding all of this junk in foreign countries at the same time we're threatening them with our military. It all goes together. What we've seen with the fraud, waste, and abuse through USAID and the military hard power, which we see going on right now in Yemen and have seen in the past in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Libya, in Syria. It's just on and on and on with these Middle East forever wars. And the right and the left agree on that policy 100%. So they're willing to work with each other, even though they have differences when it comes to domestic policy.
All right. Laura is also, let's see if we go back to it. Laura is also reporting this. Now, you guys tell me your thoughts. The father of Candace Chi Wong, the wife of Alex Wong, the Trump-appointed Chinese Deputy National Security Advisor under Michael Waltz, who is now at the center of the SignalGate scandal, was directly tied to the CCP and the People's Liberation Army of China via his 23-year-long career with AsiaSat, the leading satellite solutions provider in Asia. AsiaSat Holdings is jointly owned by Chinese state-owned CITIC Limited and private equity fund, the Carlyle Group. AsiaSat is essentially partially owned by the CCP as a state-owned entity in China. Dr. Yahoo Chi, Alex Wong's father-in-law, was a key figure in the early development of AsiaChat. He joined the company in 1989, played a pivotal role in the technical operations, according to records I uncovered. And she, by the way, provides them at the bottom of this. Chi Xi's personal ties, writes Laura, extend to U.S. national security circles. He is the father of Candace Xi Wong, who is married to Alex Wong, the current deputy national security advisor under the Trump administration. This familial connection has drawn attention to AsiaSat's operations, particularly given its ownership structure. In 1990, the China International Trust and Investment Corporation, a Chinese state-owned investment firm wholly controlled by the Chinese government, acquired a significant stake in AsiaSat, and it goes on to talk about that. What do you make of this, if indeed true, David?
Wow.
I think that's very alarming. Alex Wong, both of his parents, migrated here from Guangdong province in mainland China, the People's Republic of China. He's got, as you mentioned, all of his donations are to Never Trumpers, not 1 cent to President Trump's re-election campaign. He worked as Mitt Romney's defense and foreign policy director, and then he subsequently worked for Tom Cotton as one of his top staffers. And then Mike Waltz handpicked him. It's typical for the national security advisor to have to pick his principal deputy, and presidents routinely approve that. So it wasn't really even this was not a Trump pick. This was Waltz's pick, and any potential ties to the CCP family or otherwise by Wong or his Never Trumper status. It goes back, and Waltz has to take responsibility for that as well. So this is just another more damning evidence that Waltz needs to go, and certainly Wong as well.
Here's an article at the Washington.com. 2 law students tied the knot at DAR Constitution Hall, and there they are, April 12, 2014. So it was quite a high-profile wedding. Yes, Leo?
I just think it's interesting that she mentioned the involvement of the Carlyle Group. The Carlyle Group, which many believe was a creation of the Rothschilds, is a very globalist, transnational corporation for which Donald Rumsfeld once served as chairman. As we all know, Donald Rumsfeld was the Secretary of Defense under George W. Bush, if I'm not mistaken, and he was leading the charge for the invasion of Iraq and many other globalist ventures so that he could then get his buddies in the private industry to go in and rebuild the country with no-bid contracts after the U.S. military bombed the heck out of it. Donald Rumsfeld was a really bad actor, a bad apple. He was affiliated with the Carlyle Group, as have several other of these guys who move in and out of government and private industry in the military-industrial complex.
All right, let's see if I can find a little bit more here from Laura. I've been told by sources that Tom Cotton is the individual who helped Alex Wong ascend the ladder in Trump world. Why didn't Senator Tom Cotton do any vetting if he's such a China hawk? How come it took my independent investigation to figure this out? Well, this is a very good question. I mean, if again, the research, and again, she provides at the bottom of her X account, she provides what she says are the receipts. She says, see the receipts here. And I've been verifying some of it sitting off to the side here while you guys talk, because this is all happening so quickly. So it looks like it is actually put together and it's there. Now, why, David, did this not get checked out by the White House? How did this Mr. Wong ever get to the national security staff? David?
Well, I think Alex Wong, he has the bona fides that he's built up within the national security community, much as, if you think about all the deep state officials, in U.S. intelligence that are neocons, that are America Last, kind of never Trumpers, there's, a massive number. And we know there's likely a lot of deep state moles burrowed within the U.S. intelligence community under Trump right now that they would still need to root out. So I think Alex Wong is one of those. I don't think he's been, he certainly hasn't been vocal in his opposition to Trump, but he's certainly, he has a long record of supporting neocons, working for neocons. He's worked for neocons exclusively, so I think we can deduce exactly what he believes, and it's basically kind of the old Bush McCain America Last agenda that's been in opposition to Donald Trump.
Now, Candace Wong, I guess, is his wife. Is Mr. Wong's wife is Candace, and we just looked at their little wedding thing. Let me go back, see if I can find the thing. Here we go. Yeah, Candace. So we go to the Washingtonian, Washingtonian, so Washingtonian, okay, .com. Trying to spell it for you guys and say it. 2 law students tied the knot. There you are, Candace, all right? Candace marries Alex. She becomes Mrs. Wong. Now, if you go research her bio, which again is linked in the X account of Laura Loomer, Laura is saying that here, Mrs. Wong served from 2015 to 2024 as an assistant United States attorney in the United States Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia. Wait a minute. Are you telling me his wife worked for the Biden administration? She would have certainly worked, yeah, from 20, and she would have, I guess she worked through last Trump administration too. So this is interesting. I'd like to know more about what she was up to when she was at the DOJ. Leo?
Yeah, it is so incestuous. I mean, what more can we say? I mean, this is the type of person that we have working on the staff, apparently, of the sitting national security advisor to President Trump. And then we wonder why, Trump thought he could go in and settle the Russia-Ukraine war on day one. But when you have fellows like this working for you, it's should be no surprise that it's taken 2 months and still running, and we have no settlement of that war. They're still killing each other on both sides, and any temporary truce or ceasefire is likely to be violated. And in my opinion, I think we're on a long-term trajectory towards World War III, regardless of any ceasefire that Mike Waltz is involved in gets signed.
It does say in her bio that she was a law clerk to the Honorable Sandra Day O'Connor and Sonia Sotomayor of the United States Supreme Court, and of course, Brett Kavanaugh. So again, she's kind of been on all the sides there politically, but I guess that's the way it goes in Washington. I see if there's anything else here. I want to leave anything out because this is a quickly unfolding story. David, do you think that Mike Waltz is going to be able to survive this and Mr. Wong?
I think, this has only been a 2-day, SignalGate scandal so far, but it's, I think it's up in the air. I think that Trump, behind the scenes, he's been embarrassed and he's been mad at Waltz, but, publicly he went out and defended him during a press conference yesterday. But as this continues to build and the evidence continues to amass against Waltz that he's lying, that he has that Wong has connections to the CCP that are family based, and there's just a lot to unpack here. And I think this could easily build into Trump, demanding his resignation.
All right. Any closing comments from you, Leo?
I agree that if it stops, even if the information flow stops where it's at right now, Mr. Waltz is on tenuous ground. I'd give him a 50-50 chance of surviving this. But if information continues to dribble out in the next day or two, he's history. He's done.
But of course, the bigger issue is how many more people have infiltrated the Trump administration, right, Leo? I mean, that's the real concern.
100%.
Somebody said last week, who was it? I read last week. Oh, General Flynn. General Flynn tweeted last week that there have been many traps set for President Trump by the deep state. He put that on X last week.
Well, I think that was very astute because these deep state plants, what they do is they act like, look at, again, Mike Pence is the model. Throughout the 4 years, Mike Pence's reputation was what? As the loyal foot soldier to Donald Trump. loyal backer of Donald Trump. In public, he was always supporting the president, always saying the right thing, while at the same time in private, he was running to his buddies at the New York Times, Washington Post, and wherever, and leaking information that would embarrass the president. These are indeed traps set for the president. I hope that President Trump realizes this and will cut this guy loose quickly. And any others, by the way, any others who are involved in this sort of trap setting for the Trump administration.
David?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that, in terms of Waltz, the question is if, he has a reputation now that's been exposed as a leaker from the House Intelligence Committee. What was he leaking, to Goldman? And, what would he be willing to leak now from the Trump administration? I mean, there's no evidence that he's deliberately leaked anything at this point, but just the fact that his worldview is regards to Russia and Ukraine, I wouldn't put it past them at some point to leak information that could be embarrassing to the president.
Wow. And David, I want to go to you. You've got a new
Policy objectives.
David, you've got a new article out tonight. Let's see. Is this it here? What's it titled, David? Here? No, that's not it. I'm trying to find it on your Substack. What's your new article titled, David?
It's not that new. It's from a couple weeks ago or 10 days ago about the U.S. convene Ukraine's 30-day peace plan or ceasefire to Russia.
Okay. All right. Return of the neocons. Oh, wait a minute. Here it is. Return of the neocons. Trump appoints staunch supportive of America's forever wars to serve in his cabinet. That was November 13th. So the point is, I guess that shows exactly what we were saying. You were warning about some of these guys in that November 13th article, right?
I was, yeah. And what was disturbing to me is those were his first appointments. Those were his top league, picks that he made public, and that was my number one concern, that he would be, his administration, his second term would be recaptured by the neocons just as his first term, and they would be in a position as members of his cabinet and senior administration positions to sabotage all of his great efforts to end our forever wars and restore peace and stability and prevent World War III with Russia and China.
Yep, I was just using the old Control F to find it. There it is. That's where you're warning about Mike Waltz right there. President-elect Trump has already begun announcing many of his senior cabinet member picks, some of them more controversial than others. He announced his chosen neocon. He has announced he has chosen neocon Representative Mike Waltz of Florida, a U.S. Army Reserve colonel, to serve as his national security advisor. Waltz served as a Green Beret and served as a counterterrorism advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney, who notably endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris for president, and later opposed withdrawing large numbers of troops from Afghanistan without strict conditions. Waltz is well known as a hawkish figure and neocon who is more likely to continue to advocate for and push for forever wars than for ending them. If appointed, it remains to be seen how much push for continued conflict will mesh with Trump's goal of ending it, end quote. I guess that's what Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gobb said. David writes, however, on the bright side, Waltz is well informed on the existential threat of super EMP attack, having been briefed by members of the task force on national security, which I helped to lead. So there you are, back in November, warning about Waltz, and here we are tonight, March 26, 2025, voila.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon, I had an article December 31st, 2024, titled Donald Trump, Man of Peace or Man of War, 2025 will provide the answers.
Was that Substack or LeoHoman.com?
LeoHoman.com. And I mentioned Waltz. I said the first sign that President Trump was perhaps not a serious anti-globalist was when he opted for Marco Rubio as Secretary of State and Mike Waltz as his national security advisor. With folks like Rubio, Waltz, and I also mentioned Elise Stefanik whispering in Trump's ear, I see him as potentially a man of war, not a man of peace.
And that was your December article.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'll just tell you guys straight up. I want President Trump to go down as the greatest president of all time, and certainly modern times. And I think he has the potential to do that if he can just screen out these bad people that just keep making their way in. It has to be, I don't know, Washington insiders that tell you why this guy's the one we need to pick, or I don't know if it's donors that pressure people. Certainly, Waltz wasn't giving money, apparently, to Paul Sperry. He says he wasn't giving money to Trump. But something's got to be done. We cannot have this. We're just a little over 60 days into the second term, and now we're finding out, as Leo said, we've got with Mike Waltz, basically a Mike Pence in the inner circle. David? You agree, David?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think this is a great opportunity for President Trump, because here we are on the verge of a potential, Chinese invasion or blockade of Taiwan, with peace with Russia almost nowhere in sight. And if he were to ask Waltz to resign and replace him with Elbridge Colby, I think we could steer out of potential World War III with both Russia and China.
Well, that would be a good idea, as always. All right, gentlemen, dpine.substack.com, dpine.substack.com, and Leo Holman is leoholman.com and leoholman.substack.com. Gentlemen, as always, thank you for this fast analysis of a breaking news story.
Thank you, Brandon.
All right, folks, we're reporting
Brandon.
it as accurately as we can, because, again, this is a breaking news story. I've not been able to fully verify everything that's being put out about Mr. Wong or Mr. Walls or extended family members, but we'll just tell you straight up. We're reporting what's being reported. We see some screenshots that seem to validate it. We'll make any corrections as necessary, but a very fluid story tonight for sure. Hey, remember now, we're brought to you by you. Another long format interview, folks, without a commercial break, but I need you to support us. And please go to worldviewtube.com/sponsors. We just built, thank you, Jill, a brand new website, worldviewgold.com. You can get your free packet of information. Just click there, more information. It'll bring you right to the bottom of the page where you can put in your name and information and jump in on the gold investment as a way to diversify your portfolio. I don't give financial advice. I give financial opinion. Do your own due diligence. It starts, I think, with getting the free packet of information on gold, silver, how to put gold into your IRA, the difference between bullion, like U.S. Silver Eagles, U.S. Gold Eagles, freshly minted, if you will, versus 1933 and older. That's known as numismatic. That comes with a premium on it, but you might be able to see your portfolio increase in value from the spot price and the rarity price, the premium price on these antique coins. You also get privacy because they are antique coins. So there is privacy when you purchase them, which is why a lot of people love them. But you need to figure this all out. You need to go to worldviewgold.com and get the free packet of information, worldviewgold.com. We also have over there, of course, Melissa House GPA. That's the Galatana that I drink each and every day, along with Dolly, who gets half a scoop on her food, loaded with all kinds of great vitamins, magnesium, beta carotene, amino acids. It's got a lot of other great things that we need and our pets need as well. You can check it out. There's that cat that had a tumor in its eye. They put it on the Galatama, tumor gone. Remember, this is the phytoplankton that gentleman was taking when they said, you're terminal. There's not much we can do for you. And he was growing this plankton for his shellfish. So he started eating it. Went in for surgery. They took out 11 biopsies, sent him off, came back benign. That was in a Canadian newspaper. Remember that? Well, that's how David Hunter ended up starting the Global Plankton Alliance. So again, fascinating story behind all this. I hope you'll check it out. MelissaHouseGPA.com. Do what we do. Get a subscription. Get a subscription so it shows up automatically every month. MelissaHouseGPA.com. We also take this every day. We swish with this every day, and that is Numi. Okay? Swish for life, or you'll find it at worldviewtube.com/sponsors, otherwise Swish for life. This swish, which is the best way to get it into your system without it breaking down, is to swish it. You can do an IV, that'll cost you, I think, about $250, and it gets broken down. They say the best delivery mechanism is swishing it in your mouth for about 3 minutes. And then after that, you can spit it out or swallow it. Now you're putting glutathione right into your body. Glutathione is a natural, all-occurring molecule that starts to break down in your body, decrease about age 20. So again, if you want to detox your cells, switch with this. And there's a lot of toxins. We know they're everywhere, right? And keep enough around like we do. Put the date on the bottom and keep them around. So like last week, Melissa, maybe 10 days ago, was getting a really bad sinus infection. Her eye, underneath her eye was swollen. She started swooshing with this on the hour, every hour, knocked it out. A lot of times she has to go get an antibiotic. Not this time. She swished with it on the hour, every hour, all day long. Okay? So check this out. It's got, 162,000 studies on PubMed on glutathione. That's the molecule. The product is Numi. Full details at swishforlife.com, swishforlife.com. I also take my Bella Grace every night. That is melissahousebg.com. It's on here. There it is. melissahousebg.com. 3 powerful ingredients: the collagen, the cat's claw, and the astaxanthin. 80 clinical trials behind it. Get a subscription of this. I take the Gatatana, I take the Numi, I take the Bella Grace each and every day. 80 clinical trials behind the elixir. The skincare, Melissa loves it. The weight management, it's all natural. It's also great for your cardiac health, according to the research we've been reading. Lowering your bad cholesterol, raising your good cholesterol, helping with inflammation. It also, we're told, helps to optimize your insulin, normalize your blood pressure, improves your prebiotics, so many other things. Backed by science. Check it out, please. melissahousebg.com. And then Melissa loves the restorative sleep. She loves this. This is all natural, made from botanicals. And this helps her not only get to sleep, but stay asleep. So she loves that. This is the Bella Trim. This is the restorative sleep. And again, you'll check it all out at melissahousebg.com. melissahousebg.com. Let's go to the Dolly Cam. Is the Dolly Cam working, boys? Yeah. Sleeping with her head hanging off the old My Pillow pet bed, what she does. I have no idea why you want to sleep like that, Dolly, but she does. I would think all the blood would be rushing to your head, but she does it. Hey, speaking of which, Logan, have we got a My Pillow banner over at sponsors yet?
No, I'll get it up right now.
Oh, he's going to get it up right now, he said. Let's go over there, mypillow.com. Use the promo code B66. When you get there to mypillow.com, go down the page to where it says radio podcast. There you go. That's a little secret to get the best prices. I'm going to start back out, show you how I got there. mypillow.com. Scroll down the page. You see Mike wearing headphones. Click that. And here's where some amazing specials. Spring sheet sale, save 50% or more. Okay? On those. My towel 6-piece set, regularly $69.98. The sale price was $49, and they've even brought it down to $39.98 if you use the promo code B66. If you like Mike's cross, he's now selling those. Those are available as well. You'll find the multi-use My Pillow 2.0 with roll and go. Those are they were regularly $40. Then there was the sale price of $24.07. Now they're down to $9.98. He's just giving this stuff away now. The classic collection, the standard, that was $49.98. Then the sale price was $29.99. Now $17.98 with the promo code B66. Graduation's coming up. Why not buy the graduate some pillows, sheets, towels, blankets for the graduate that's either going to be heading off to school, more schooling, or getting their first apartment. It's all there. Look at this. The premium My Pillow, $19.98, was $69.98. Now it's under $20. The regular was about $80. Now it's down to under $25. mypillow.com/B66. I don't know. Does that work, Logan? Does that work, Logan? mypillow.com/B66. I never thought of that. I don't think I have, at least for a while. Let's see. mypillow.com/B66. Yeah. Woo. I forgot all about that. mypillow.com/B66. mypillow. And look at that. It brings up all those specials we were just talking about automatically. So there you go. mypillow.com worldview.com/B66. Okay? These are just some of our sponsors. We're going to get them on the sponsors page. But in the meantime, they're all there. Check them all out. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. worldviewtube.com/sponsors.